Call the meeting to order, the Newman City Council and Redevelopment Agency of June 26, 2007. Please stand for the pledge and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we please bow our heads? Dear God, we ask that you watch over our city, protect everyone, and watch over this council tonight and guide them and help them make the best decisions for this city of ours. In this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Caden? Councilmember Kelly?
Here.
Councilmember Crinklon?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina?
Present.
Mayor Fennessy?
Present. Declarations of conflicts of interest. Seeing none this evening. Ceremonial matters, we have none. Items from the public, non-agenda items. If anybody in the audience has anything they'd like to bring before us that is not on the posted agenda, now would be the time. See no one. Agenda items, when the item comes before us and you'd like to speak, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and try to keep your comments to under 3 minutes. Public hearings, we have several this evening. Our first one is A, adopt resolution number 2007, next to number. A resolution approving the annual final engineer's report, and resolution number 2007, next to number. A resolution ordering the levy and collection of assessments for the city of Newman, landscape and lighting maintenance district, zones 1 through 15 for fiscal year 07-08 NBS.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. At your last meeting of June 13th, the council, under the Landscaping Act, Landscape and Lighting Act of 72, you adopted a resolution initiating proceedings for the annual levy of assessments and ordering the preparation of an engineer's report. The resolution initiation directed NBS to prepare and file a report, preparing the plans and specifications describing the general nature, location, and extent of the improvements to be maintained. Also gave you an estimate of the cost to maintain and service the improvements for the reference fiscal year, and a diagram for the district showing the area and properties to be assessed. The assessment of estimated cost to maintain and service the improvements and placing the accessible lots and parcels with the district in proportion to the special benefits that they were going to receive. Tonight you have before you a resolution approving final engineer's report and the resolution ordering the levy and collection of assessments for fiscal year 07-08. It shows the engineer's report a positive of $207,474.42 to be utilized for maintenance services. Tonight's public hearing allows for property owners' input, whether it be oral statements or written protests. Any questions?
Questions of Ernie? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Would anybody like to comment on this matter? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and ask for some direction from the council.
I so move that we adopt resolution 2007, next number, a resolution approving the annual final engineering report, and resolution 2007, a resolution ordering the levy and collection of assessments for the city of Newman landscape and lighting maintenance districts, zones 1 through 15, fiscal year 2007 to 2008.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Item B in our public hearings, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2007, next to number, amending Title 1.09 City Purchasing System of the Newman City Code.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. At the last meeting, I brought an amendment to the current city code, which currently states purchases of supplies and equipment shall be made only by purchase order I ask that we increase that amount from $0 to $500. And in addition to that, that all purchase orders should be created prior to order placement. Also, the cost associated with this process is only staff time and the cost of the purchase orders. Are there any questions?
Questions for Sonia? Okay, then I will open the public hearing. Would anybody like to comment? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and ask for some motions.
I move that we approve.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Item C, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 2007, next to number, amending Title 9 of the Newman City Code, adding 9.10 noise regulations.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, before we are asking you to consider this noise regulations ordinance. Over the past several years, there have been a number of different areas of town, and citizens that have come before this council complained of excessive noises in their neighborhood. Over the last 30 days, as the chief and I have researched this matter and have found one that we believe will sustain the city and provide more flexibility for our officers in the field. So with that, the city is recommending that we look at the attached exhibit, which is the ordinance there. And what this ordinance does, in accordance with this ordinance, and it will be city policy, that city of Newman is designated as a quiet city. And that's the first thing that you're doing it by adopting this ordinance and setting that as a policy. The second main consideration that we considered is when officers go out in the field, it provides them some circumstances that they can look at and gauge whether the noise is excessive. And again, that is not limited to the number of hours. Some of the things that officers would determine when they're out there is the loudness of the intensity of the sound, the pitch or frequency of the sound, the duration of the sound, the time of day, the necessity of the noise, meaning is that, someone mowing their lawn, mowing their lawn at 10 o'clock in the morning can be noisy, but mowing your lawn at 2 o'clock in the morning is a different noise. So it gives the officers flexibility and leniency when looking at those particular situations. And also, it goes as part of that is background noise as well. So with that, I've asked the chief to also come up. He led a critical hand in the development of this code, and I'd like him to talk about how that affects his enforcement of noise regulations within the community.
Thank you, City Manager, Mayor, members of the City Council. First of all, I encourage the City Council to give serious consideration of adopting this ordinance, this noise regulations. Currently, we have a very difficult time enforcing noise ordinances in the City of Newman. We're restricted by Section 415 of the California Penal Code, which is disturbing the peace, which doesn't apply in most situations that we're dealing with. And also it requires somebody to be a victim and press for prosecution or place somebody under citizen's arrest. And they're very reluctant to do so. So many times we are totally ineffective in being able to abate the noise problem that we're dealing with. Before I draw your attention to 9.10.020, paragraph B, which will give the police officer all the enforcement tools that he'll need or she'll need to enforce noise regulation. And it states, for the purpose of this article, complaint of unreasonable noise is deemed a prima facie violation if there is one complaint and independent corroboration by a police department employee of the unreasonable nature of the noise based on the criteria that's listed in paragraph C. I draw your attention to the prima facie wording because that refers to in a criminal prosecution in which the evidence before trial is sufficient to prove the case, unless there's substantial contradictory evidence presented at trial, which means the burden of proof is shifted from the police officer to the defendant to show that the noise they were making was not unreasonable. This is a strong enforcement tool that the officers need to go out and do their job and to be effective. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I had numerous people ask me, does it include dogs?
Well, although it doesn't specifically mention animals, the wording is such as for application to animals. Because what it states is, and I draw your attention to paragraph A in the same section, notwithstanding any other provision of this chapter, in addition thereto, it is unlawful for any person to willfully make or continue or cause to be made or continued any noise which is unreasonably disturbs the peace and quiet of any neighborhood. So that, I believe, would have application in that situation. It doesn't mention animals specifically, but they're allowing the noise to continue.
Chief, one of the concerns that some of the people had was reprisal from making that complaint. Is that addressed in this so that they don't have to come forward, they can stay anonymous?
Exactly right, and that's what we would be working towards, is we'd have to indicate in the report that a complaint was made, and we're responding to the complaint because it states on the criteria, a complaint, and the police officer makes independent corroboration. So it may be at time of court that we have to produce that witness as to the initial complaint that was made. But it avoids having to place somebody under citizen's arrest.
So they still could have to identify themselves as a complainant?
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't, anonymity is not built into this here.
Is it possible to build that in, or legally that would be almost impossible to get to the point where if you had to prove it?
I would have to defer to the city attorney for some assistance.
I don't think we could do it without a complaining witness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Will or does the officer have to identify the complainant if the person asks who it is
No.
at that point?
No, not at
until
that
it gets
time.
to a case, a court
No.
case that goes that far.
Only if it goes that far.
Okay.
Exactly right.
Thank you.
Question. You say an officer is out patrolling, and he hears this noise, and he feels himself that it's excessive. Does he have to get a complaint before he goes to the people and says, stop?
He can still make contact with the individual making the noise and give them a warning. But yet, if it's going to fit the criteria here, we still need a complaining party. And again, I defer to the city attorney. But the criteria set out is we still need a complaint and independent corroboration. But it does not preclude an officer from coming up to anybody's house if the stereo's too loud and telling them, I'm giving you a warning, your stereo's loud. If we get a complaint, I'm going to come back and issue a citation because we have the corroboration prior to the complaint.
And those things are helpful because the courts are kind of leery of these complaints, but if you can show that there's been other instances, that can come into evidence, and that would help us.
Help the case. Further questions for the chief? Okay, I will open the public hearing. Would anybody like to comment on this new noise ordinance?
My name is Ken Maddenwall, 612 Waxwing Lane, Newman. I just have a question. How is this going to be informed, or how is the public going to be informed that this is being done? It seems you have a lot of code enforcement things on the books, and nobody seems to know about them. Can this be put out with your sewer bill and things like this so these people know that this is going on? Because most of them don't read the paper, and they sure don't read what's going on in the council. That's the only question I have.
Probably.
This is not an automatic, police department rolls up, cite you. Police department will, if there's excessive noise emanating from your property, police department rolls up and informs you that there's excessive noise coming from your property, please turn it down. we fail to adhere to that, then that's when the police department comes back and starts writing infractions. So you will be given a warning. We're not just going to roll up and start issuing tickets for the situation.
As a general knowledge for the citizens in the town, how do they know this is even on the books?
Well, I would think that we're going to put out our newsletter when we get to it, and we're going to have all the, the new codes that we're doing. So, and we can also put the city website on there, and they can access that, and all that information will be on there. But
Aaron, this is a common sense thing.
yeah, oh, I know,
People
I
when
know.
the music's too loud. People know when they're making too much noise. If an officer shows up and says, "Excuse me, you're getting a little bit of excessive noise. Can you turn it down a little bit?" And then they fail to comply, that shows in the face. You're getting the notice. And we don't come in and give you one notice today and then write you a ticket 4 days from now. We will come back in 4 days and give you another verbal warning. Again, sir, your noise is too loud. Can you please turn it down?
Unfortunately, those are the people who don't have common sense.
Ken, to further answer your question, one of the things we talked about when we talked about code enforcement was education, education, education. We want to strive to educate the public what we're trying to do before we go into enforcement. We don't want to go out there and immediately start, banging heads. That's not what we want to do. Yeah.
The thing is, how do they know?
We will educate them either through the newspaper, through the city newsletter, through the sewer bills. Pardon?
The police officer.
The police officers knocking on their door, they will be educated in one form or another.
No, but I had he was almost a block away from my house. I couldn't even hear the television in my house because he turned the radio on his truck and then went to the backyard to work. So I went over there and asked him, could he please turn it down? And he looked at me and said, no habla inglés. What do you do? Then their kids came over and started throwing stuff in my yard. And I called the police, and nothing happened, but I'm sure they had a lot more important things to do.
Well, this is why we are enacting this code, Mr. Manuel, for this very reason. Now the officers actually have more teeth to actually go out and let them inform that the city has a new ordinance, you're in violation of that particular ordinance, please turn it down, because if I have to come back, I could write you an infraction. If I have to come back a time after that, I'm going to take your stereo with me. And that is provided for in here. So we're not getting compliance through education, which is going over, knocking on the door and asking them quietly, please turn the music down, it's disturbing the peace of the neighborhood. If they don't comply, then we can cite them. And if we don't get compliance after the citation, there's several methods that we can do. One or all is you can arrest the person, you can take the stereo system with them, there's several things you can do.
Unfortunately, we can't pass a enforcement that has music with no bass in it because that would probably satisfy a lot of the requirements.
What's that comedian? You can't fix dumb.
Can't fix stupid.
Stupid.
And duration. Boom, boom, boom.
Mayor, the public hearing is still open if anybody else
Yeah.
would like.
Would anybody else like to comment?
Just a quick.
You can't. You're up here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's right, Rand. No, Chief and Mike, I'm just wondering, is there anything else we can add to it to make it even stronger? No, seriously, while we're doing it, let's do it right. This is great, but
We ran this one again is enforced in the city of Davis right now. We found it to be one of the strongest. I know our city attorney's here. He could probably
he's sweating now.
I can't think of anything else.
Sorry.
You confiscate one or two stereos and
That'll get them.
Right, and that's a very important point, is if the warnings don't work and we have to go into the citation or move into the arrest mode, it also allows us to remove the noise-making item. So we can go in and take the stereo and so on and so forth.
Even if it's in his truck.
And word will spread real fast if we have to reach that point. But To answer your question, this gives us the enforcement tool we need to go out and be effective.
Good, good,
Yes.
good, good. Thank you.
Yeah, it also makes it a misdemeanor at that point too, which is really as far as we can go.
Exactly right. And that's, I believe, upon the third offense.
Yeah.
It turns it into a misdemeanor. And that turns into a physical arrest.
If you feel comfortable, then that's good. Good.
Yes.
Again, I'll let the public hearing close.
Any other public comments? Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
Again, the intent is, this is an educational process. It gives the officer more flexibility out there to gauge these particular situations on a case-by-case basis. He's looking at what's the neighborhood like, what time of day is it, what's the background noise going on, what's the frequency, how long it's going to run. And they can really take a look at that particular situation. And then engage it and use the correct decision at that time. And he could just say, you need to just turn it down a little bit, and everything will be solved. You're going to gain compliance probably 90% of the time just by the officer arriving at the scene and just asking them politely, just turn it down just a little bit, so I don't have to come back. Second time they come back, it gives them officer the opportunity to then write an infraction at that particular time. And if he has to come back a third time, well, then the officer's not going to probably be real happy. They'll probably end up confiscating the source of the music and or making the arrest, or breaking up the party at that particular time. So, again, more opportunities for the officers to enforce it, and again, create a peaceful place for our residents to live in the neighborhood.
Shirttailing on Councilman Kelly's comments, can we, should we, at this point in time, develop standards for our public facilities as far as times of noise to terminate? City parks no later than 10:30, Louis J. Newman no later than 11 o'clock, since we do have controls of those areas.
We can come back and look at this, but again, this noise regulation ordinance that we're proposing today doesn't have time restraints on it. It could be 7 o'clock in the morning, it could be 11 o'clock in the morning, it could be 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But again, it provides some guidelines for the officers to assess the situation and make the appropriate determination from there. So.
Well, would preclude that by when you rent the facility from the city, it's already understood and known, and that's one of the rules.
We can incorporate that into our rules for rentals.
Further questions, comments? If not, a motion?
I make a motion that we adopt the, what? I'm sorry?
Introduce this one.
Introduce.
Ordinance 2007-XX, adopting a noise regulation ordinance and adding it to the new Newman Municipal Code.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Item
Nice job,
9.
gentlemen, thank you.
Item 9, consent calendar. Item A, approval of warrants. Item B, approval of minutes of the June 12th, 2007 regular meeting.
I so move for approval of consent calendar.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Just a question to our vast audience out there. Is the speakers working out there or not? Bob says they're not, so that's what I thought. Okay, item A, under regular business, adopt resolution number 2007, that's a number, a resolution ratifying memorandum of understanding between the City of Newman and Operating Engineers Local Union Number 3, miscellaneous.
Thank you, Mayor. 07-08 is the last year of a 3-year contract that the City of Newman has with Operating Engineers Number 3 miscellaneous employees. Part of that contract includes a COLA increase for this coming fiscal year. What we have recommended, or what I'm recommending to the council is the following items, and the union has agreed to those if so approved by this council. One would be a 4% cost of living adjustment increase for all miscellaneous employees that are covered under the union, City of Newman employees. 2, the city will hire an outside consulting firm to conduct a comprehensive compensation salary survey so we can, for the next bargaining agreement that we're gonna go into, and that was, taking effect in the 08-09 fiscal year. And then the last two is just allow the union to submit names of the firms they believe to be reputable for consideration, and that the city would work with the union to determine what city would be selected in that comprehensive salary survey. So with that, we would ask that you adopt the attached resolution agreeing to those terms and allowing the 4% COLA and the 3 remaining terms as well.
Questions, comments from the council? If not, some direction?
I move for adoption.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item B, adopt resolution number 2007, next number, a resolution adopting the salary schedule for management, supervisorial, and confidential positions in the city of Newman.
Thank you, Mayor. Our management staff here at the City of Newman does not have a union representation. Typically, what the city councils in the past have done is afforded the management confidential supervisory position the same compensation that miscellaneous employees would receive. So with that, we are recommending that supervisory, confidential, and management employees receive a 4% cost of living adjustment for fiscal year 07 a week.
Questions, comments? If not, same motion.
I so move for adoption of resolution number 2007, next number. A resolution adopting a salary schedule for management, supervisory, and confidential positions for the city of Newman.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. It's working now.
It's working now.
You fixed it? You're good. Item C, adopt resolution number 2007, next number, a resolution amending the ICMA-RC 457 retirement plan to permit loans.
Thank you. The city currently offers city employees a pre-compensation plan, which is the 457 retirement plan. Unfortunately, the only way that employees could withdraw that is to wait for retirement age or be assessed taxes and penalties. What we're asking is that we amend the plan to include the plan to allow loans. And what this would do is would allow city employees to borrow money that they've already contributed to their account. So basically, if they wanted to borrow, they could borrow over $1,000, up to $50,000, or half of what's already in their account. There is no liability for the city. Outstanding loan balances are secured by the participants' accounts. Therefore, there are no additional costs to the city. And basically, the repayment provision ensures that participants replenish their accounts, thereby preserving their retirement savings. What I'm asking is that we adopt a resolution to amend the retirement plan to permit loans. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions for Sonia? Seeing none, some direction?
I make a motion that we adopt the resolution to amend the what is it? ICMA RC 457 retirement plan to permit loans.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item D, adopt resolution number 2007, next number, a resolution amending the ICMA RC 457 retirement plan to include Roth IRAs.
So in addition to the pre-tax retirement plan savings, we're asking that the plan also include Roth IRAs, which allows the employees to contribute post-tax benefits. Therefore, when they would withdraw their money, it's already been taxed, and all the earnings that they have is already been taxed, so they won't be additionally taxed. And again, the cost associated with this is just staff time, and this allows the employees a variety of options when planning for their retirement. Any questions?
Questions?
That's kind of brief.
Direction?
I move for adoption of this resolution also.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item E, adopt resolution number 2007, next to number, a resolution increasing the 0607 budget to include the purchase of equipment for the new fire truck.
Earlier this year, the city passed a resolution authorizing the purchase of the new fire truck, which we all saw at the last meeting. However, the original resolution did not include the cost of the fire equipment. The fire equipment is necessary in implementing the use of the truck. So the staff is requesting a $20,000 increase in the budget to cover the cost of equipment. So it would increase the 0607 budget. The council had originally authorized the purchase of the truck and equipment up to $300,000. However, the city only financed $263,000, which is what we budgeted. So we did originally ask for 300, we just didn't include it in the budget. And so we're just asking for an increase of 20,000 to cover all equipment costs.
Questions?
The chief, will 20,000 take care of it? Will that take care of everything that you need?
20,000 is more than that, wasn't it?
Well, we had a little bit remaining in the budget that we were including in that, so it made the request less.
Total cost of the equipment was approximately 35,000, give or take, that's ballpark. There was 15,000 that was already in the budget. We need the budget augment to supplement that 15,000. So another 20,000 gets $35,000 worth of equipment, which is what the chief has requested to equip that new fire truck.
Obviously, I think, you can't have a new fire truck without equipment, but was this something that was just overlooked when we budgeted it, or how
Well,
did?
what we ended up doing was budgeting for the lease payments, because we knew that we were buying a $300,000 truck. It's just the truck's $264 and the equipment's $35. So when we built in the payments into the budget, we only budgeted for the $264 and some extra ones. So that was the staff oversight.
Okay.
I move for approval.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item F, introduction and waiving of first reading of ordinance number 2007, next in number. An ordinance of the City of Newman, California, containing a description of the Newman Redevelopment Agency's eminent domain powers.
As this council may be aware, eminent domain has been a really hot topic over the last couple of years, not only at the state level, but at the federal level. So the state, in all its wisdom, passed SB 53, which requires the cities to adopt an ordinance clarifying or just stating what their eminent domain policies are for redevelopment agencies. In 1992, the City of Newman did create a redevelopment agency and adopt a redevelopment plan. Part of that plan did allow the Newman Redevelopment Agency to conduct eminent domain procedures for the acquisition of real property. However, that power was limited to 12 years. That power has since sunsetted in 2004. So the City of Newman Redevelopment Agency, the Newman Redevelopment Agency, no longer has eminent domain powers. Since then, the city has not issued any ordinances that would extend that. So as of 2004, the Newman Redevelopment Agency does not have eminent domain powers and cannot use eminent domain powers to acquire real property. So we have written an ordinance that was provided to us by the California Redevelopment Agency Association, stating that that is our policy. And we are asking that today you introduce this ordinance and waive its first reading, and we'll have a public hearing at the second meeting, at your next meeting in July.
Questions, comments? Motion?
I so move that we waive the first reading of the ordinance 2007, an ordinance of the City of Newman, California, containing a description of the Newman Redevelopment Agency's eminent domain powers.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Item G, report from our supervisor. You got 3 minutes, Jim, because our city manager is on the way to a baseball game, so. Have you got any reports on what's happening, Michael? Not yet? Okay.
One ring is a win, 2 rings is a loss.
His daughter's in a playoff baseball game, so.
Okay, I'll be fast then tonight. Good evening, Mayor Venezia, council members. I had a few things I want to bring up tonight. As I'd heard from your city attorney that you would be taking up the scrap dealers ordinance next week. We appreciate
I
that.
gave the wrong. That's a different city.
Oh, I thought it was for Newman.
No.
Actually, ours
No.
will be the second meeting in July.
Okay, well, Dan corrected that. I forgot your city attorney for other cities, too.
Moonlight's all over the place.
This topic came up at the Board of Supervisors meeting today, and we are formally going to request that each city consider adopting this scrap dealers ordinance as the Assembly Bill 844 by Tom Berryhill has been watered down to the point where it's not much of a bill anymore, and that happens up in the state legislature. But the disturbing part of that is that if you do not pass a local ordinance by January 1st, 2008, you'll be prohibited from doing so in the future. So this ordinance will shore up any weak links that we have in the county. As far as the Ag Element Committee met yesterday, and again, for 3 hours. We were very close to making the changes that the board wanted, and there's certain provisions that were not in the Ag Element that we were going to write the language for at a later date. We are now doing it. This is just a couple of months away from being completed. The part that I think is relevant to the city of Newman and to all cities is that the Ag Element will call for one-to-one mitigation of farmland loss to urban development. That means a developer would have to purchase an easement of similar land. Say, if he's taking irrigated land in one place, he would have to replace it with an easement in others. There will, in the language that we worked on yesterday, the cities will be asked to adopt this as their own local measure too. We have no jurisdiction over the cities, so we can't make you do it, but I will be sending out a letter in about 2 weeks once we have our next meeting and we finally have the final approval on the committee level. As you know, that the vast majority of the development is done in the city limits and not in the county, except for Salida, which will be one of our last developments. Residential developments. I don't see anything else coming down in the future. So to be able to set aside some farmland in perpetuity, the cities would have to get on board with this ordinance if they choose. We believe that our agricultural land is an irreplaceable natural resource that deserves some measure of protection. And a one-to-one mitigation would still only affect 50% of the farmland that's in existence. So if you had a 100-acre development and you mitigated that with an easement for another like land with 100 acres, you're starting up with 200 acres of farmland and you're ending up with 100. So it would still be a 50% reduction in agricultural land. We're willing to accept that. Some places have 2-to-1, but ours is 1-to-1. So you'll be hearing more about it later as the committee meeting the next time. We'll probably finish up the language of it or pretty close. It's just about done now. Once that's done, I will forward that to each city in the county for your consideration. And I realize this will take a lot of discussion on your part to decide whether or not you want to do it, but I will send you the information. As far as the development of the Crow's Landing Air Base, we have a long ways to go with the developer on that. The next meeting is this Thursday. We meet second and fourth Thursdays in the afternoons. The developer has until April to present his plan to us, and by his plan is where everything is going to go, what is storm drainage, utilities, roads, just everything that goes into it, where the sewer system is going to be, the water supply. So there's quite some time before that's done. He is moving along, I think, at a reasonable clip. And in April, he will be required to present his final plan to the board for its adoption. But as of this time, I don't have anything to report to you that except that everything seems to be on schedule with the timeline that the board has set for him to get certain things done by a certain date.
Thank you.
Jim, thank you very much. We appreciate your reports. Items from the city manager and staff?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the council tonight for adopting those ICMA plans. Those are really benefits to the city and city's employees that are really helpful in planning for their future at no cost to the city. So, you know, the Roth plan is a very nice plan, and I would encourage all employees to take advantage of that. If you're not an employee, you can look into it. It's a very helpful plan, and we should be taking advantage of it. And the only other thing that I have right now, city recruitments. The police chief recruitment closes on June 29th. I know our chief has had some good conversations with some very qualified applicants, and we'll see how those applications come in before the end of the week. We'll go from there. We are advertising for a maintenance worker 1, maintenance worker 2/2 in our public works department. And that was approved by this council in the budget that you just adopted. And then lastly, our continual recruitment as we right now continue to fill positions within our police department and our police officer position. That's all that I have. Turn it over to staff.
Any staff reports? Have you all been instructed to not say a word? Oh. Nothing else?
I just have one
Okay.
quick item, and I'm going to be 30 seconds. I promise.
You've been told.
I'd just like to report out that we have filled one of our vacancies in the police officer position.
Good.
And the new officer is coming to us from a local law enforcement agency as a lateral. And he starts on July 3rd, so he can work July the 4th. So welcome to Newman Police
Cool.
Department, welcome to police work.
Excellent.
It's great to
Good.
hear.
Thank you,
Good.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, would you consider a 5-year extension on your contract?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, isn't that 2008 that we're going to be the final applicants, right? Mike, is that 2008, right? Not 2007. So you're going to be hanging around for a while, boss.
I also have one quick informational item. This afternoon, Chief Plant Operator, myself, Tiffany Knapp, and Casey Yearout, which are the engineers for Ecologic, did a field review where the site where the new storage reservoir is going to take place. We went over the construction drawings and made all the corrections and took a look, discussed coordination of the contract work so that it wouldn't interfere with farming operations, and it seems like everything's on schedule. We're still going to see if we can get it bid to be in July, August, and so hopefully we can have the reservoir built before the end of the year. Any questions?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie.
Thank you, Ernie.
Mayor, to kind of piggyback on that, our finance department has been working with the California Infrastructure Bank on getting us a loan on that. It looks like we're going to get a 3% loan for the full amount. Wow.
That's good.
Wow. Typically, those loans are limited to $2 million, but our demographics allow us to exceed that and get the full $4 billion amount. So we're going to continue to do that. So that's very good news for our residents. They only have to pay a 3% interest rate on that loan.
Duration of loan?
I don't know if it's 20 years or 30 years. Sonia, do you remember?
I'm sorry,
I think is that a 20-year loan or a 30-year?
it was 30 years.
30-year loan.
Wow, great. Good job.
Thanks, Ernie.
Can I
If
get
we had
that
to
same
sell
loan?
bonds, it would be 5%.
No, you can't have that same loan, too.
I'll keep it fast too.
It's all right.
It's over?
Uh-oh.
Did you get
It was a two-buzzer.
Did you get the
A
text?
two-buzzer?
Oh, no, no.
Might as well talk a while about that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know, in the 13 days of summer, we've had 368 visitors to the teen center. That's Monday through Friday, those days, 2 to 6. And our arts and activities, we've had 194 participants, and that's in 5 short days.
That's good.
My nice little notes here. Our swim field trips, all but the first day have been filled, and we are filled currently until July 24th. So we've been quite busy, and I want to let everybody know that late registration for soccer ends this Friday at 6 p.m. Any questions?
Can we get you a new notepad so you note something?
Well, these are little scratch papers we keep by
Oh,
the
okay.
sign-in book, so.
I do the same thing.
Doing my math.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Any other staff reports? Fire chief's quiet back there. No reports? Okay. Items from city council members? Ted?
Mike and I had talked about it already, the banner. Hopefully it was going to be up by July 4th. That's the softball banner, welcoming everyone to Newman, celebrating that. What a great, it's still 26-0. That's unbelievable. But anyway, no, Mike and I already talked about it, and everything we're fine. So
That's coming out of your allowance.
that's fine.
Okay.
Take it out of that zero that I get.
Was that it, Ted?
No, that's it. Thanks, John. Yeah.
Bob?
I have nothing here.
Mike?
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone about the Chamber Mixer this Friday at Rico Fitzer Pierce Building at Fresno and Maine. And Diablo Funding, it's kind of like to join same building.
Water store and Rico
5:30, it's a beach theme. Bring your flip-flops and,
Grass skirts.
yeah, it should be a nice mixture, so hope to see everyone there. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
It was a, what, two-ringer?
Is
That's
that
not good for you, is it?
You first. We have a first on this side to adjourn
I'll
the
second
meeting.
that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
The game's
I get to
over?
watch my daughter win the championship.